As someone coming from a physics background, I couldn't resist the temptation to turn all the considerations discussed in all of these questions into something more tangible. And when I say tangible, I mean numbers. So bear with me for a second and I will explain to you the simple and quick approach I chose to evaluate the best language. First, I need the context. As we have already discussed, this question cannot be answered in its context-free form. So we need to draw a more context-rich question. And I chose the following. What is the best choice of a second language to learn for an English speaker that only speaks English? A question exactly the same as the one we previously asked our guests. Now, I was trying to come up with an answer to this question by calculating the utility of learning different languages. Utility is a notion typically used in economics to quantify the overall gain of an actor, in this case, a monolingual English speaker. It could somewhat be translated to happiness and can include all possible factors from health to financial situation, social surrounding, etc., etc. The list could be endless. Now, how do we evaluate utility of learning a language? We make a model. We say utility equals and sum all of the terms that matter on the other side. Those terms are independent factors that have effect on the utility. What are they? Well, we have just had 5 language and communication experts make a series of language-related choices and give their reasoning behind it. From this, we can extract the recurring independent arguments and shape them into the terms of our utility function. Don't worry, I will not get into the gritty details of how I did it. I'm just gonna very quickly list the recurring themes. The first of them was the number of speakers of the language. The more, the merrier. The value of a social network is proportional to the number of individual links that could be established between its members. This number of links is approximately proportional to the number of its members squared. This is how the value of, for example, social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., or of messaging clients is calculated. So here we have our first term proportional to the number of speakers of the language squared. Moving on, the second term is supposed to reflect the economic opportunity associated with learning a language. Let's say that by learning a language you gain full access to the markets that speak that language, that you had no access to before. This is, of course, a stark simplification. And as said by Anthony in episode 4, no models are perfect, but some are useful. Maybe this model will be useful in the end. Who will be there to judge? So we are just gonna make the second term proportional to the GDPs of the parts of the world where the language is being spoken. And now let's talk about the third term, the last one. The third term reflects the effort that a monolingual English speaker would need to put into learning the language. There are estimates of how many hours of intense learning need to be spent on a language before mastering it. You can find them online. So our third term is negatively proportional to this effort. It takes your time away, so it translates to opportunities lost and thereby negative utility. And this is it. This is the whole model, 3 simple terms. Of course, there's a bit more to the model that I won't get into. Anyway, it was my personal pleasure to do some maths like this again after a long while. I've considered the following sample of languages that our hypothetical English speaker could choose from: Spanish, German, Russian, French, Arabic, Mandarin, Romanian, Norwegian, and Hindi. I calculated the utilities of learning each of those languages. We will post the results of this micro-study as a graph on Instagram. Don't forget to check on it if you're interested.